What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to give you my early impressions on Persona 5 Tactica. I'm not all the way through it yet, but I thought, you know what? I think I have a grasp enough of this game to at least tell you guys what I think about it early on and if it's worth checking out. And the short answer to that is yes. I think this game is absolutely worth checking out, especially with the added benefit of Game Pass, right? You have actually some pretty big games. The Man Who Erased His Name was on Game Pass. This game is on Game Pass. More than enough reason, I think, to at least try it out, see if it's something that you'd be interested in. Now, I will say this is a game for Persona fans, but also because of the tactical grid fighting style, it's a little bit different. And, you know, early on when I saw the reviews for this game, one of the things that stood out were people saying that, like, they weren't going all the way with anything, so it kind of felt like just a surface level thing. I agree with that to an extent, but I actually think the combat of this game is really fun. It fits the Persona vibe. You still fuse personas. You're still using your own skills as players and assembling your party and going into battle. And the reason I'm spending so much time on that is look, this game is really built on two basic things. Number one, the cast of characters and a new story. And I mean, we've gotten this a few times now, and I will say, if we're just talking about that, number one, it's fantastic to see everybody back. I talked about that leading into this game. One of the things I was most excited for, just like any time we have gone back to this with Strikers or obviously even Persona 5 or Persona 5 Royal, the cast of characters. I think this is an incredible cast. Maybe not the greatest cast of the Persona, groups. They've had some amazing casts in their history, but it's one of the greatest casts, I believe, of all time. I truly do believe that in just all of gaming. There's so many likable characters. They all have such great personality. So whenever you're coming back to them, it's always a treat. And that is true. I mean, without a doubt, it's fun and it's awesome to kind of see everybody back together. It doesn't, to me, though, have the heart or emotion or, I don't know, like the complexity that the other games have had. So I will say, while it is great to see everybody back, and while I'm fine with the story so far is fine, and I'm about 25% of the way through, actually maybe even closer than that, maybe like 35% based off like missions. They literally tell you what mission number you're on, and then you can just go look up how many missions there are in the game. There's side quests as well, but I think there's 15 side quests. I've done 4 or 5 of them. So yeah, you know what? I'm honestly probably a little bit further than a quarter of the way through. The story's fine. It's solid. The villain is pretty cool. What happens with the villain early on in the game is pretty cool, but it doesn't have the same grab that the other ones did. And I don't know, like saying goodbye to these guys at the end of 5 or even at the end of Strikers, or I would even say, honestly, the beginning of Strikers, like with this group reuniting and that being the first spin-off game of the cast for Persona 5, it was emotional. Like, it was a very emotional, to me at least, it was a very emotional ending for Persona 5 and a very emotional kind of getting everybody back together in Strikers and then leaving again at the end of Strikers. This one, it doesn't feel the same, and I don't really know why. I don't think it's hurt by, like, the visuals. I actually kind of like the more cartoony, I don't even know what visual style you'd want to call it. I really actually like it. I think it suits it pretty well. I like the cutscenes in the game or in the engine as well. Like, that looks pretty cool. So it's not that. It's just, I don't know. It doesn't have the same stakes in it. It doesn't feel as powerful as past things. And so I throw that out there to say, for a Persona fan, it is a reason to get this game because it's just more Persona. But what that means here, more Persona, you literally are using personas, yes, but the characters, the cast, bringing them all back together and having a new adventure, right? That's the pro. The con is it's just not as powerful as what we've gotten in the past. And maybe it's like fatigue, maybe like we've seen them too. I really don't think so, because these guys are just so cool. I want to see them all the time. But I don't know. I just feel like maybe it is fatigue. Maybe the more you bring them together, the less impactful things tend to be. But that's the story and character side. Then you got the gameplay side, and really, again, that's all this game is, which is fine. I actually like the linear style of this game. You pretty much, they are just talking. You go through the dialogue boxes. They'll either talk, out loud, or you just have to read it. And that's pretty much it. You'll talk, and then it'll lead to a mission. You'll fight, and then you'll talk some more. Back and forth, back and forth. There's no open world. There's no exploration of, like, dungeon type thing. None of that. And honestly, specifically for like this kind of game, I think that works completely fine. In fact, I like the linear nature. You don't need it for like mainline Persona games. Obviously, you want it to be opened up and explore a school or explore, whatever, wherever the setting might be, right? But for a game like this, I think it actually makes sense that they confine you to just talking, go out and do a mission, then you go back and you go and you shop and you get items, or you go to the Velvet Room, right, and fuse personas and whatnot, and then you go back, and it's literally just that. I don't mind that actually at all. But then there's the fighting, and is this the most tactical, grid-like game you've ever played in your life? No. And to be honest with you, I don't think it needs to be, and I'm completely fine with it. I actually am really enjoying the combat in this game. It's actually the thing I think I like the most, because I wouldn't say, again, from the story perspective, I wouldn't necessarily say disappointing, but it's just not as powerful. So then it's like, okay, well, I'm listening to it. I enjoy hearing everybody talk, but when you're in the battle, it's actually really fun, and it is strategic, the idea of getting like the one more attack when you face somebody, you get somebody that's out of cover or they're not resisting, and then you get one more move added on. The fact that you need to be pretty tactical of where you're lining up your characters, and while it's not the most like depth-filled experience you're ever going to play in your life for these kind of games, there is some depth. There absolutely is, because depending on which characters you pick, some of them are better at close combat, right? Because you're pretty much going to be shooting people, hitting them with a weapon, like close up, or using your personas, right? You got like those three options. And those are going to kind of vary, right? Your personas and the abilities that you use are going to be different based off which character you choose. Even the damage that you do, say, head on, like you're right in front of the character, you hit them, that depends on, like a Ryuji is going to be more powerful than, say, like a Morgana, right? So you have that situation. Guns, same thing. Obviously, it depends also on if you're like leveling up and putting your skills in the right places, or how you feel like you want to play. There is a skill tree for every single character. And I think it's got some depth to it, honestly. So there is some depth. I think it's just kind of more hidden, and I don't think you have to be the best tactical player in the world to get through. Like, I am not. Like, I love XCOM, but I get people killed all the time. Fire Emblem, I have such trouble with it because I get attached to the characters, and then they have the chance of, like, dying out in the field, right? Like, I get very stressed in these situations. In this game, honestly, it doesn't have that stress. I'm playing it on normal. You have, like, swap-ins, so if your character dies, you can swap in another character. I think you can do 3 per, and it depends on which difficulty you are. So I'm playing on normal. You get 3 substitutions before you fail the mission. You don't lose them forever. They're not dead or anything, right? So it's a more casual, like, this really is, honestly, it's a more casual experience. And I knew that going in. Like, that is not disappointing. That's not something I'm holding over this game's head. I went in, like I said, once more, because the cast, bringing it all back together. I love these guys. I love to see whatever new adventure they really want to tell with them. And then just a different kind of combat system. And I've liked all of them. I love the base Persona, fighting system. Strikers, which was the first one that I've played like that. I only played Golden, 4 Golden. I tried Persona 3, but I'm going to hold off until the remake comes out. I played it like for 3-4 hours. So I'm generally a new-ish fan of Persona, so I haven't played a lot of these spin-off games, and Strikers freaking rocked. The combat rocked, the story rocked, and they did it again. Honestly, I think they pulled it off a second time. This time, it doesn't feel the same. It definitely, from the story and impact, it does not feel the same, but the combat is actually, or the way they're doing gameplay, let's say, is really fun. I'm really enjoying it. And again, I go back to, obviously, you could buy the game, and it's also on Game Pass. Try it out. If you have Xbox, try this game out. They're going all in on Persona, so there's multiple Persona games on Game Pass right now. I think it's worth it. I definitely think it's worth it. I just think of the group, and I haven't played Royal, because I played 5, like, right as Royal was about to come out. So I had completed 5. I put, like, 100 hours, like, I think literally 99 hours into it, and then Royal came out. I wasn't going to do another 120. So out of the 3 that I've played so far, not counting Royal, this is the weakest. Absolutely, like, by a lot, actually. But you're comparing it to kind of legendary, like Persona 5 is a legendary game to me, and Strikers is really awesome. So just being the weakest of those 3 is not necessarily like the worst thing of all time. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.